Hey, welcome back everyone. This is kind of a spur of the moment video, but I think the fragrance community, at least what I'm trying to do with my channel, we deserve a reality check. So this whole concept of compliments, that's why so many people are really in this hobby. And if you're in this hobby for compliments, you're not really in this hobby. You're just trying to buy the aesthetic of the hobby without, really putting in the work. And you're looking for validation from fragrances. Well, I just want to be frank. I want to be frank for the people who are looking for compliments, and I want to be frank with the people who aren't. I just want us to be on the same page. You will not get complimented solely on your fragrance ever. When you see someone, when you see a YouTuber who, most complimented fragrance, I got so many compliments with this, that. Let's take a good look at who they are. If they're a 6 foot whatever Calvin Klein model, was it really the fragrance that got them the compliment? Are you sure? Are you sure it was the fragrance that got them the compliment and the affection? And I'm not saying this to be mean to anyone. I'm not saying this to bully anyone, because this isn't what it's about. I'm speaking for a reality check, and I'm speaking to you to not compare yourself to other people. This should be for your own enjoyment. The fragrance hobby should be for your own enjoyment. Because if you're expecting to get the compliments of these, superstar model, attractive YouTuber, whatever, I got 100 compliments with Eros. That doesn't happen in real life. It happens if someone's attracted to you. It's a way for you to open up somebody, and typically people use fragrances. If you're getting a compliment, that person probably already wanted to speak to you. And the fragrances is kind of a stepping stone to open you up in conversation, like, I like your fragrance, I like your shoes, I like your jacket, something like that. How many of you out there have smelled a fragrance on somebody but didn't say anything because you didn't want to particularly open them or speak to them? Probably multiple times, right? How many times do you think this has also happened to you in your life? And, and it's no coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidence. A lot of YouTubers right now are really shilling like the Roja Dove perfumes, which I think are vastly overpriced, vastly overrated. It's just something for nouveau riche to buy into with the jewel bedazzled bottles and things like that. And a lot of the scents are just, all right. Some are above average, but is it worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars above Creed prices? Probably not. But the YouTubers, the attractive YouTubers are like, and I'm not trying to sound like salty or anything like that. I'm not doing that, but I'm just saying you can't compare yourself to, a model who's like, I got 1,000 compliments in this Roja perfume. That's not accurate. That doesn't happen in real life for most average people, in the fragrance community. The average person might not ever get compliments with Roja Dove perfume. And if you're buying hundreds of dollars worth of that perfume for compliments, you're wasting your money, and that's not what all this is about. And I understand when you first get into it, and a lot of people first get into it with the idea of looking for compliments. And that's fine. I did too. And then I realized, what they say, reality versus fiction, right? And I realized, people don't just hand out compliments like candy, like, some of, these people say. And then I realized, I still enjoy this hobby, but rather than buy fragrances for other people, I'm going to buy them for myself. And that's what I started doing, and that's when I started looking into these fun brands. And once you realize that, once you accept and start doing that, you're going to enjoy this hobby so much more. It is so much more enjoyable. It's so much more fun buying fragrances for you that you think are interesting and innovative and creative. I think Zoologist, is one of my favorite houses. Nasamato is one of my favorite houses. Strange, not always crowd-pleasing scents, but just really interesting and really compelling, innovative creations that, in my opinion, are worth having in my collection. And I like enjoying it for me. And I think a better compliment than being told you smell good is you smell different. And sorry, my clock, okay. Being told you smell different. And that's really interesting. I think that's a more, I don't want to call it profound, but I think it's a more meaningful, I don't want to call it a compliment either, but just something that means more receiving it. And I guess it's, I've received that in a complimentary way. Like, that is different. Like, what is that? And then that opens a conversation, in itself. It wasn't necessarily, oh, you smell good. And, paying hundreds of dollars to be told, oh, you smell good. Is that even really worth it? Hearing that, it's just, and some people, want to spend these hundreds of dollars for compliments when, somebody, I'm never going to name names because I'm not trying to start anything in the fragrance community, but certain people, they could wear Axe body spray and get compliments because it was never about the fragrance for them. It's just the fact that they're a beautiful person, and all of us are beautiful, and you gotta, it's cause and effect. Oh, my voice cracked. I'm not editing out. It's cause and effect, chicken before the egg. Where's the compliment really coming from? Is it your fragrance? And I would say it's more often than not. I've only been complimented in a very small amount of my fragrances, and out of those small fragrances that have been complimented in, the compliment has only come around once or twice. And I'm not going to go into that in this video because that's not what... This video is not my most complimented fragrances because what you're wearing and the compliments you'll receive will vary from person to person what you're wearing, because some people... It's about being congruent with your personality. Whereas Yves Saint Laurent, Koros, okay, you have to be a hairy-chested, burly, big-armed man to pull that off. And I'm not saying, and nobody but this guy can wear it, but you're not going to look congruent in this musky, pissy, floral, like kind of just uber masculine, like 80s powerhouse kind of thing. It's about congruence. Wear something that you enjoy, but also wear something that's congruent with you. And I think what's so interesting about fragrance is that it's an extension of you. It's an extension of your personality. Whereas some people just see it as, a fashion accessory like a scarf or a hat or something like that. It can also act as an extension of your personality. I think that's really interesting, what you're trying to convey that day. So it can change day to day what your personality is, what side of the bed you rolled out of. So some days you're feeling kind of darker, more brooding. Some days you're feeling kind of light and more cheerful. So it's interesting. You can contrast that with your fragrances, and I think that's an interesting way of doing it. But people who are just looking for compliments, they're always the most disappointed. And, these fragrance influencers are like, buy this fragrance, buy my fragrance for $200. It's a compliment magnet. It's a compliment printer. Maybe it is for them, but for the rest of us, it's just another fragrance. And it's not something more innovative and different than a lot of things. I think it's so much more interesting with these strange compositions and, and new creative ones. I think that's the coolest part of fragrances, because I get tired of smelling all the same stuff, and that's why I mostly do niche on my channel. I still do some designer stuff. Of course, I got to be well-rounded. And there's some designer stuff I like, but generally I gravitate toward the niche stuff. Anyways, thanks for bearing with me. I was just kind of rambling there, but I wanted to get it off my chest. Until next time, guys.